New episode, new Monday. Welcome. I'm happy to introduce this special guest on this very special episode, the Los Angeles episode with my cousin, Erik Kollasch. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Ian. How are you?
Dude, best day of my life, man. This is going to be an awesome trip. I'm so excited to be here.
It's great to have you out here, man. I haven't seen you in like a long time, probably since December.
Yeah, it's been probably like half a year.
Yeah.
It's sick. Thank you for letting me stay at your house too.
Of course. Family.
Yeah, that's fair. But so we're sitting here on your living room talking on a couple mics you had laying around. Why, you have your own, you're in film, you got your own editing stuff you're doing. Tell me a little bit about yourself so the viewers can, or I guess the listeners can hear a little bit more about yourself.
Okay. Well, yeah, the reason I had these mics is because I was doing a podcast with one of my roommates now, which it didn't really go very far. We did like 2 episodes. It was kind of just a spoof on NPR. But it was really fun and it was a good experience to learn. And then having these mics, we're able to record like voiceover for videos we shoot. And
sure.
My other friend is a rapper and we recorded him before in my closet, just like the old school, just sending a mix into his producer just to
nice,
reference.
But I know editing or audio stuff isn't really your main thing. You're more into film and that kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, my job is assistant editing. I recently just edited my first feature film, which is really exciting.
For those of you who don't know, this is probably his dream, coming true as we speak, which is what Make Happiness is all about, which is pretty insane. So I'm really stoked on that.
I'm stoked as well. Ian. It's incredible. You'd never think what you'd be in the place you are until you're there. You know what I mean? My whole life has been kind of leading up to this moment, and
think about all the other moments you're gonna have to come even after this. This is just even a stepping stone.
Yes, it's insane. And that's why you can't. I don't want to get ahead of myself or make any projections of where I want to go.
Yeah,
I know where I want to go. I'm just gonna continually. I try to stay in the moment day by day.
Right, and you just got to actively be aware of that. You want to know where you want to be at the end, but it's also good to just keep doing what you're doing and keep following that same direction that you want to be at, essentially, and then eventually you're going to get there either way. You're already, having your own feature film that you edited entirely, which is insane.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing this?
I started editing videos with my friends when I was 13, 14 years old. We were shooting videos in my backyard, just goofing around with those old camcorders that had a tape in the side of it.
Oh yeah,
and then we didn't even edit. The way we edited back then was we would film something, and if we didn't like the take, we would rewind and then record over that take.
Oh,
we couldn't even edit
no way.
Because we didn't have computers back then. It was before we knew how to
There's no software
upload.
Or anything. It was just
Yep.
That's crazy.
Exactly. It was, and then you'd always have a random clip, in the middle where it's just we didn't record over that. But
that's funny from the old take.
Yeah. But it was a really cool way to learn. And then eventually I got onto Windows Movie Maker and made
Well, why'd you move out to LA? Because you're originally from Burnsville, right? Which is just south of where I live.
Yeah, where I live, Ian.
That's right. But
for the guests.
That's right.
Yeah, so I grew up at Burnsville, and which is right next to you in Bloomington, and
they're at the big city.
Yeah,
one of them.
It's a long ways away from home.
Yeah,
but this is kind of a home now too. It's become a home. But I originally moved out here. I went to the University of Minnesota, and I studied film studies and communications. Double majored, graduated in 3 years,
which is insane.
Which was not even I didn't even realize that was possible until my girlfriend was like, "Hey, your credits are kind of overlapping, and you could just graduate early." And I'm like, "What?" But yeah. So anyway, that was when I graduated, I moved back in with my parents, and I lived there for a year, and I was saving up my money. So for a whole year,
you're just saving.
I worked at this aerospace factory in Burnsville, and I saved up enough money, and I had enough money to buy myself a car and a new computer, and I moved out here with the hopes of working in film. And before that, I had actually worked on a couple documentaries. I was an editor on this documentary, but I wasn't
that the paraplegic one with the
yeah.
Okay, for the triathlon?
It's called It's Raining, So What?
Okay. Oh yeah. I remember that was such a cool film too, like the whole premises of everything. That was like the first really like initial one that you've ever kind of really edited. Was that right? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That was like the first legit thing that I've worked on.
Yeah.
But other than that, like I interned on this other documentary about these Cuban artists. Some Minnesotan artists flew down to Cuba. They filmed half the documentary there, and then they flew out all these Cuban artists up to Minnesota, and they filmed the rest of it in Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
I was there for that, and
The last part.
yeah, and it was just like these artists collaborating, and it was really exciting to see that, and like I learned so much being on that set. And I'm sorry, I don't want to cut
No, you're
you
good,
off,
dude.
But I wasn't even paid. I was literally doing this for free, and it was like, a couple months of my life where I was just like every day, all day doing this, and
right.
which like it's worth it to get to that place you need to be. But then now I'm realizing like, oh, I probably could have done something for money.
So while you're saving up in your year, like going back to what you're talking about, that you had plans to move out to LA and kind of make it big, and now you're actually like kind of in that living situation, which is insane. Like you're living in Hollywood, you get a place like literally like 4 blocks away from Hollywood, which is
we're like 3 blocks down from Hollywood Boulevard right now. We're sitting in my living room.
Yeah, this is insane.
Yeah, I just came home. You were already here talking to my roommates, hanging out. And
this is crazy. I never would have thought that I would be like taking out a trip to my girlfriend, like out to LA, having a place to stay, and just like no big deal. It's just dream come true all around.
Yeah, but no, it's not like, I mean, it's like a process. It's not like ever. It's not you're ever there,
Yeah.
But it's important to take a step back and say like, wow, look where I am now. But like I feel like I never feel like I'm there,
because you should always be striving for more, I think, which is a good thing. And I talked about that a little bit last week, where it's you always want to be growing, because if you stay in one spot for too long, then you're never going to be the person that you could be or that you should be, or your full potential, because you're just in this little stalemate of if your friends aren't doing anything, well, you're not going to do anything. Like I talked about last week, you are your closest 5 friends or whatever. So it's about doing those things that are going to keep you growing.
That's a topic that I really actually wanted to bring up. On my way home from work, on my way here, I listened to that podcast.
Yes.
And I was thinking about that, and I was like, wow, I want to bring that up, because literally, like, you just met my roommates, right? Like, these are the guys that I spend most of my time with.
Right.
And they inspire me every day. Like, they're both stand-up comedians. I also hang out with a lot of guys who do film and stand-up, and my friend Khalid, who raps. And I think I've built myself a pretty good group of people around. Like,
no doubt. When I was talking to them before you were here, they had such a good energy, and like you could see that they were just had that same drive that you and me do, and just like that whole mantra of like people who are go-getters and follow their passion. They just fit that lifestyle so well of doing what they love, and they're going out to. They have this goal that they want to do, and they're actually taking action on it, which is a really cool thing, because that's what Make Happiness is trying to be about. That's what I want it to be about. It's not just sitting there and doing something because it's, stable, but doing it because you actually want to do it, and it's actually a goal in your head, and you think like, I want to accomplish something in my life, so you actually want to chase it rather than having it just be in your head. You're actually doing it, which is what all of your roommates are doing. It's what you're doing. It's what I'm doing right now. It's recording this. Like,
exactly.
It's so cool.
I love it, dude. And I've been watching you from afar. Like, I've been listening to all your episodes. I started reading the blogs from day one, and I read every blog.
Dude,
and I love it, dude.
I appreciate that.
All right, I mean, you're an inspiration to me. Like, I've seen you grow. Like, we've known each other since we were like toddlers.
Yeah.
We grew up together.
Literally.
Yeah, and it was so cool to like see, like, because like we didn't always, like, we're not that close. Like, like during like my college days, we'd see each other like, a couple times a year, a few times a year.
Just at the family reunions or whatever.
Yeah, like Thanksgiving and stuff.
Yeah.
And you'd see like each year you're like catching up, like, oh, what have you been up to? And it's amazing to see how you've progressed. Like, I love the direction you're going.
It's crazy.
Dude, it's just this whole podcast itself and the whole concept, like, I can see you growing into like a Tim Ferriss kind of guy, like,
that's insane.
5 years from now or less. Like, I've seen, like, you're building your own company, you have your own like brand, and it's actually like a positive thing, and it's true to yourself. It's not nothing fake about it.
Which is awesome, and I really appreciate that, because a lot of people tell me like, oh, well, Ian, you're happy all the time, but it's not good. Well, it's like I'm not happy all the time. It's not about that. It's about being aware of things, and about like understanding that any sort of negative situation is something that you can grow from. It's not about like focusing or like taking one situation and thinking that it's a bad thing because I can learn from it, because if you can learn from something, you become a better person. That's a positive thing.
Yeah, and now I can go into this story of how I got to Hollywood here.
Oh yeah, going back.
Okay, let me track back here. So about the being in a negative situation, so a couple years ago was probably like the hardest year of my life.
Okay.
I just graduated college, and I was I was living with my parents, just trying to save money, and so there's nothing really exciting I was doing. I was just saving.
Sure.
And my best friend actually committed suicide. Like my best friend growing up, we had lost touch a little bit, through college and stuff, because everyone has their own path and they're focusing
right. But
on
still, that must have been really hard.
Yeah, he was my best friend, and how earlier I mentioned we made videos together, as kids, and
yeah, I
grew up with him since second grade. We'd sleep over at each other's houses all the time, and
right.
It was just really, really heavy to me because thinking about that and I went to a dark place, and then following that, both of my grandparents died on the other side. Not your grandparents. Ian's grandparents one of them's still alive.
Yeah, she's still trucking.
Yeah, she's Lois, Grandma Lois. Shout out Grandma Lois.
She's alive and well.
She's kicking. I actually took a shot with her last 2 years ago at Christmas.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was pretty cool.
She's probably, is she pushing 90? She's 80.
I have no idea how old she is, which I think is kind of sad. But you should know how old your family members are.
Yeah.
But it's hard to keep up. Facebook's nice, but she's not on there.
Going back to what you're saying, you're in that really dark moment in your life, those dark places, and then how did you transition into living such a dream, or that you are now?
So another factor in that is that I was dating a girl for about 5 years. And we got engaged, and we were planning on getting married. And we were planning on moving to LA together and starting a new life. It was okay, we both graduated college. We both had been going through some hard times. She had some people in her family that had passed away as well. And we were both you know what? Screw this. Let's go to LA. Let's
restart.
Let's start anew. Let's create a new future for ourselves. Kind of what Make Happiness is all about.
Yeah.
And then somewhere along the line, maybe 6 months into our engagement, I just had this sense, I could feel it in myself, and I could sense it with her, that something felt a little off, or it was I was oh, maybe I'm just getting cold feet. It's that typical thing that everyone talks about. But it was I felt it was deeper than that, and I just kind of went with my gut feeling, and I was hey, we should talk about this. Maybe we shouldn't get married. This is we're 22 years old. This is a little early.
Right. And
so then from there, we just broke it off. It was very clean. We both were mutually I don't know if I'm ready for this. And it was okay, let's see what happens. Let's try and move on. And then 2 months after that, I moved to LA, and it was part of it was me kind of escaping that, because if I'm in the same friend group as her, and if I'm seeing her everywhere, see her. I had to get out of that space and whatever it was. And I've always
she
told
never
myself,
ended up moving to LA by herself.
No, she's still in Minneapolis, and she and I think that deep down she always wanted to be there.
Okay.
I think she was moving here for me because I was chasing my dream.
Right.
And I wouldn't want to have put her through that anyway. Forcing someone to do something just because out of their love for you. It's kind of you know what I mean?
Sure. So now you're 2 months later, you just made the move, and you didn't leave behind, but you're kind of trying to move on from all these negative things and all these somewhat bad situations, friends passing and family members passing, your fiance and stuff. So how did all that extra weight on your shoulders, how did you get rid of all that when you were moving into the editing scene and trying to make a name for yourself and getting into this company and doing everything?
It was honestly the most freeing moment I think I had was once I packed my car up and I had everything. I had maybe $3,000 in my bank account, and I had, I'd spent a bunch of money on my car and my computer, and I was just I didn't even have a job. I didn't even have a job lined up.
Dude,
all I had was a Craigslist ad that I went off of, found a guy on Craigslist. He had a room open in his house, and I emailed them, and he's yes, you can live here with me, and we worked it out. And I only met him a week before I moved. And so I was all right, here we go. And the most freeing moment for me was when I just drove off into the sunset. It was me driving off into my own sunset, and I let go of everything, all the attachments, everything that I was that
was holding you back or whatever.
Life.
It was just keeping holding you from. You just felt a moment of relief, I guess.
Yeah, it was I guess so. It was a pressure building up. It's kind of what is out there. I'm gonna go find out, and I just went. and
you're diving into the unknown.
Exactly. And I drove alone too. It was like a 30-hour drive alone, but it was really cool because at the time my brother lived in Denver, and I visited him there, and so on the way I like saw some friends.
Oh, there you go.
A couple of stops.
Have you been to LA prior before moving? When you made the move, did you visit LA?
One time before,
Okay.
Twice before. One time with my family, and then one time with my ex. And at that time, we were literally looking for places to live together.
Sure.
And
Wow.
looking for jobs. And during that trip, I actually had like kind of a meet and greet / interview with some people at this company out here called Tremendous Entertainment. And actually, the summer leading up to me moving, I had been calling them every week, and they knew me pretty well because I had visited the office, and I just didn't give up because I knew like this is my perfect in. I know these people through another company that I had worked at, and they really respected the person who had recommended me, and I knew that I had made a pretty good name for myself through that person, and so I just was like, this is my shot. I'm not gonna let go because this is it.
So did you feel like, was it just the motivation, or was it the drive, or what was the reason? Were you focusing on an end goal, or what was the ambition? You know what I mean? Because I know what my drives are and my motivations. I'm curious to see what the perspective is of you. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Part of me was like a little bit trying to prove myself.
Okay.
I was like,
you wanted to make something of yourself. You wanted to be like...
Yeah, because I was like, deep down, it's like, oh, no one ever believed in like that I could actually move to Hollywood and make it out here. Like your whole life, people are like, oh yeah, that's a good, like, you're a film major. Pff, like, good luck. These business kids are like, I'm going to be working for, IBM or something. And
sure.
And, and they're making great money. But like, I'm doing something that I love.
That you're very passionate about. And it's not like when you go to work, does it really feel like work? Even I know some days you were just telling me you work like 12-hour days on.
Yeah, sometimes like 15-hour days. Like you put in the time you need to do to get the project done and get it done right.
But the whole time, even if it's 15 hours, you're enjoying it like the whole side of the way, or are there
not the whole time.
Okay, I was curious.
You have bad days. Like you're saying, you can't always be happy, and that's like you were saying with like the negative areas like teach you how to you grow from like the negative experiences,
right?
And like all that year leading up to me moving was like I was like, wow, what am I doing? Like, what is going on? Like I'm not in college anymore. I'm out in the real world.
Sure. I
don't know what to do, and I just like I just want to go and make movies, and I don't know where to start. And so when you don't know where to start, it's kind of freeing because you can just start anywhere. Exactly.
Well, and that's part of it too, though. I've noticed the start is the hardest part. Like, took me forever to start Make Happiness, but as soon as I did, it's just been going super easy nonstop ever since.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's like literally once I got that first job, I haven't stopped working.
Exactly.
There was like 1-2 week period where a TV show I was working on ended because the show was finished.
Oh, sure.
And so they didn't have another position for me at that time, so I just had a couple weeks off. My brother was living with me at the time, and we just drove to San Francisco to see some other family members, and we were hanging out.
That's awesome.
It was really fun, and just kind of enjoying being where you are and taking a step back. And then after that, like I got a call while I was in San Francisco from a producer I worked with, and she was like, "Hey, you want to work on Monday? I've got this position I need to get filled." I was like, absolutely.
That's so cool. Like, I love that. Just the fact that, you kind of came from not a negative environment, but this is also kind of what we talked about last week. Like, the environment wasn't ideal, and then you just kind of moved out and wanted to do something like your real passion. Because, like you said, you've always done movies, you've always done filming, like ever since you were, 12, 13. And then you just decided, like, I was curious too, when you went to school, was it for film? I suppose, yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah.
What was the other major?
Communications.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
They go hand in hand. Like the film studies was more of like critiquing side.
Sure.
Like you watch a lot of movies in class and like go into these deep theories, and like you realize at the end of the day, like you can kind of bullshit your way through anything like that. Like, you know what I mean? It's like
right.
it's all relative, and that's kind of what sparked my imagination. Because what I really love the most about film is like the creative things. Like when you see a movie for the first time that is just so unique and so its own thing.
Okay,
that blows my mind. I love it. It gives me the greatest feeling.
Now, here's a question. What's the most recent film that gave you that feeling that you've watched?
Oh, God. I'm going to say You Were Never Really Here by Lynn Ramsey. It's a film starring Joaquin Phoenix. And it's a really dark film, and I would not recommend it for the faint of heart because it's extremely gory.
Okay.
It's about Joaquin Phoenix going around with a hammer and hunting down these people who like ran like a child sex trafficking thing.
Interesting. But so even though the premise or like the idea of the film is super dark, you think in the creative side of things and the editing and the filming side of things, it's beautiful and
it's
insane.
transcendent. It like goes beyond like the editing and the music, and it all just flows together so beautifully.
Right.
And there's like these moments where you're like, wow, like it makes you like step back and like ponder life itself.
That's really cool.
You know, it's very dark, but I love the dark stuff. That's like, I really love that. I love dark humor. I love that stuff. Mm-hmm. And like another example would be the movie Good Time by the Safdie brothers. There's these two young filmmakers. They actually have a movie coming out, I think next year, directed or produced by Martin Scorsese. And these guys, like, they came from nothing. They're kind of this story that I want to become. Like, they're what I look up to. They're the guys that like motivate me.
Yeah.
They're just these average guys. They just love movies so much, and they put their heart into it and all their money into it and like everything they are.
Yeah, and they created something out of it.
Exactly. Like, they made just this most creative, like, interesting, like, just action-driven film.
Sure. Good
Time. Check it out. Starring Robert Pattinson, the guy from... He's, what's his name? From Twilight.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, definitely check that movie out. It's probably one of the best films of last year.
All right, let's go. I'm going to go back a little bit to LA and give you my perspective on it, because me and my girlfriend have both never been to LA, and I wanted me and her are both from Midwest. We're from Minnesota, which is very classic for Minnesota. Nice. Everyone's super humble. And I mean, I'm a really positive guy anyways, obviously for Make Happiness, but the whole scene here is actually not, I mean, it's a little bit different, but it's not a whole lot. I mean, people are nice. Like when we went out to eat or whatever, the waitress was super nice to us, and they're like, it was all good people and it was good energy. And like the people that you see walking on the streets, like you'll definitely see characters, but that's with any city. I thought it was interesting when people don't hold the door open for other people, which is something that in Minnesota, if you don't do that, it's like, what's wrong, man?
It's weird if they don't.
Yeah.
Here, yeah. No, it's crazy. Like when I first moved here, I was expecting, like kind of like a, just a more big city vibe where no one really cares about you.
Yeah.
But everyone I've met, not everyone, but like most people that I meet are very genuine, like, heartfelt people. Like there's definitely a bit of that fakeness to it. Like there's a lot of people who you can sense it though. You can see right through them.
It's a persona they're trying to build. And
it's a character almost. Like they're just trying to be this thing that they're not really. It's just kind of a projection.
Sure.
Which is why but when you meet those authentic people who are just being themselves, and I love it about, comedians especially, because they're so brutally honest when they're speaking on stage. That's how they can be so funny, is they're just being honest, and that's what hits home.
That's what I was talking to. So Erik's roommate, I was talking to him a little bit before Erik got home from work, and we were chatting with him because he's a comedian. He was saying how he's trying to figure that out right now with himself. He's learning, the deeper he gets, the more honest he gets, the better the whole jokes are, and the better the crowd likes it and that kind of thing. And that's really interesting, the way that you just said that, how it relates really well, because he's figuring that out like right now, which is really cool. How you're saying that it's way more authentic and it's way more valuable.
It is. Yeah, you see these people who you think like they would have got it by now. Like they've been doing it for years and years.
Sure.
And then you see someone come in who's just like, I'm just a regular guy. I'm just going to, say what I think. And do my thing and just be myself. And it's such a cliche where people are like, be yourself. But it's so true, man. Like, that's what I'm realizing now more than ever. Like I recently went to Coachella, and I know I sound so Californian, but
it's okay.
Going to music festivals, and I love live music. I've always loved it, and I've been to so many concerts out here, it's so great because there's so many great concert venues, and everyone on their tour, they always stop through LA, so you can see your favorite musicians, and especially like the underground people like that. You might not be able to see coming to your hometown back in the Midwest.
Are concerts cheap here though?
They're actually fairly priced because there's so many that
suppose
they have to compete, and people are. There's so many also like kind of amateur musicians that are actually good.
So if I was paying to go for like the Target Center in what is it? No, in St. Paul. What's the venue in St. Paul? Target. It is
XL.
Target. XL. Yeah. It's similar to that. Like it's.
Oh, you don't. I mean, the cool thing is you can go to like smaller scale things. Like First Ave obviously is like the number one place in Minnesota to see music, and that's like iconic, and it's pretty cheap. What is it, like $30-$40 for a show?
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Yeah, you can go to places like you can go to the Hollywood Bowl for about that price. You might not be the closest, but you can see you can literally go out there and see Paul, what's his name? God dang it! I was trying to reference the show that just happened, but
oh yeah.
I went there with both my roommates and a big group of friends, and we saw Funkadelic. We saw George Clinton in Funkadelic, and we saw the Flying Lotus.
That's crazy.
It was incredible. But I know basically what I'm saying is like there's so much out here. There's so much entertainment, great comedy.
Do you think even if you're on a tight budget, it's manageable? Like there's still things you can get away with and things you can do without a lot of money?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I could give you a couple recommendations.
Yeah, go for it, because we got a full week here.
Yeah, dude. I've got so many places that I could recommend to you, and that's just from the fact of like just being here. You get invited to go into things like from people you meet casually. They're like, "Oh, we're going to do this," and you're like, "That sounds crazy. I've never done that. Let's go there." I've been to a couple Dodger games. I went to a Kings game. Went to a Clippers game.
That's awesome.
Saw tons of music. Went to the world famous Comedy Store, the Improv Theater. And I would recommend to you, there's this, since you're down in Venice, there's this place, I think it's a little farther south of there. It's called the Sunken City. Okay. It was a city that was kind of on the edge of this cliff. And the cliff, It was like there was an earthquake, I think. And all the buildings like crumbled and everyone just evacuated it. Yeah, yeah. And if you go there now, it's a bunch of rubble and like graffiti.
Oh, cool.
And it's like, yeah, I think it's illegal to go in there, so be careful. But I think you can just walk in and just take cool pictures and just
like I'm sure people do it all the time. Yeah, it's not like that big of a deal to trespass or like walk around. Yeah,
it's kind of a tourist attraction. Like everyone knows about it, but I think they just make it kind of legal in case like they don't want like people to like try living down there like late at night, like people going down there doing drugs or something.
No, we'll have to go check it out. That sounds awesome. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, LA is like, it's honestly not that much different. The only big difference I really see from Minneapolis or like Twin Cities area is the fact that it's a lot bigger. Like
oh, really?
Well, I didn't even know how big, like what the scale was now actually being here. Like it's an hour or like hour and 10 minutes from LAX to Hollywood, which is insane. Yeah. Like when we were on the bus from the airport to your place, it was literally an hour drive.
And you look out the window and it's just like constant, like there's so many people, constant buildings and houses. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
There's always something going on. There's always motion. Like, and when we were in we were walking around most of the day today, but during rush hour there was just cars everywhere. Yeah. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like that.
It's weird because like after I've lived here for so long, I've been here for about 2.5 years now. Yeah. And living here for that long, I've become so used to it.
So you don't even notice it. You don't think about it.
It seems so normal to me. Yeah. And then it freaks me out when I go home because I'm in this place and it's so empty. There's no one at the airport. Right. My parents pick me up. It's like 11:30 midnight for Christmas. Go home for Christmas, and we're driving home. There's no one on the freeway. It's just empty, and I'm like, "What is this? What's insane. Going on?" Yeah, it just gives me like it's weird how quickly you can get accustomed to it. And then when I go home, I'm freezing cold, and I'm just a baby about it.
Well, yeah, I saw you wearing a jacket when you got home from work, and it's only like 70 out. You have a jacket.
Well, it was sprinkling early. I can't defend that. Yeah, wow. You can call me out on that one.
You're from the Midwest, man. Come on.
I know. I'm being a baby. It's cool. Yeah, and I would say when you flew in, did you look out the window? Did you have a window seat?
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy when we flew over everything. Like, 'cause we flew over like it was super cloudy today, but like we went under and then we were flying over everything. You could just see so many like buildings and roads. Like the roadways were so wild. There was just so much cement. It was really weird. Like you could just see the different connections in between the neighborhoods and all over. It was wild.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like giving the whole perspective, seeing it from above too.
Yeah, that aerial view, like when you first fly in, it's just kind of like you really see the scope of it. Yeah. And pictures don't even do it justice. You gotta see it coming in. Yeah. And like I went to New York for the first time last year, and that blew my mind. Like compared to LA, it was just so.
Is it about the same size as LA, or is?
No, way like it's actually like smaller in like
radius?
Landmass and radius, but it's so compact and like the buildings are so tall. Like LA is just a sprawling suburb, Right. Like it's kind of just like
that's what I've noticed because like the whole thing is LA, but there's so many different areas. Like there's downtown, there's Hollywood, there's Venice Beach, there's Long Beach. There's so many different like places in LA, but it's all LA, which is weird.
Yeah.
But whereas is New York divided up like that, or is it all New York?
There's pockets. The 5 boroughs. You got like Brooklyn, Manhattan.
Okay. Sure.
There's like boroughs, but each neighborhood has its own flavor. And even within those neighborhoods, there's like each block has its own style. Like its own like oh, this is where you go to get the good Chinese food. This is where you go to get the good Italian food.
Is LA more kind of natural or neutral versus like all around? Is it like?
I think they're both equally like integrated.
Okay.
You can go on any street and no one's gonna everyone's pretty friendly. I mean, I'm not gonna say I've ever been to Compton, because I'm a white dude. Like there's certain places where you just probably shouldn't go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And but beyond that, like it's very integrated. But there are pockets where there's like I used to live in Little Armenia, which is right next to Thai Town, and so you go to Thai Town, there's like all these Thai restaurants, and there's
so many different cultures and like people around in different environments.
Yeah, and it really helps you like expand who you are, because in the Midwest it's very much like kind
the
of that
same like-minded people.
Yes, it's the bubble
Definitely.
thing, like with Facebook, how you only see what your friends that you like
share,
and so you're not friends with certain people just because you don't have the same beliefs, and then you're just kind of in a pocket, a bubble. And same thing in a city, but like in a city like this, you don't even have you could like segregate yourself in LA more,
but it'd be very hard to do.
Yeah, in New York it's probably the hardest because you can't even walk out the door without being hit in the face with something that's like, you know what I mean, like
right.
you don't have a choice, you got to integrate, which is beautiful. I think that's a great thing about America.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it brings up that awareness, like it
Yeah.
opens up your eyes, like you get to see so much more of what the whole like culture is of everything, because you see so many different people in one spot, and they're all living in their own individual world. Like I was talking to my girlfriend when we were on the plane, like we're never going to see any of these people again, but they're all on the plane to LA, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
is crazy.
Yeah, that's another cool thing, is that like each person is able to, because it's so massive and so like almost like an anonymous feeling.
Yeah.
You can just dress however you want, walk outside and become like, you can like, oh, you know what, today I'm feeling like dressing like this.
Yeah.
And I want to act like this, and you can become a whole new person. Like
right.
you don't have to. That's like another freeing thing about moving out here, is that you don't have, in the Midwest, like people might judge you if you dress a certain way, or like if you act a certain way. But out here, I feel like there's so many like crazy eclectic things and people going out, like, there's less judgment, I think.
Yeah, because there's no filter here. There's not as much of a filter. It's just,
which I love about it, because like people are more genuine. I think it makes you more genuine.
Which is what you go back to what you're talking about earlier about how like as cliched it is, just being yourself, and the LA is a place to let you do that.
Yeah, and this is where I found my happiness.
There you go.
Make happiness.
Which is also pretty. So going back to that story where you're just talking about clothes and whatnot. Earlier today when we were walking around, some guy in the street was he was sparking, I think it was a cigarette or something, and he was walking, or like he just walked out and he started lighting, and he goes, "Hey man, I really like that shirt, the Make Happiness. That's really cool."
Really?
Just some random guy in the street.
Dude.
Yeah. I got so amped up and I was just freaking out about it. He goes, "Oh, thanks, dude." And just kept.
Did you sell him one?
No, I should have.
Yeah, I'm gonna. For those of you who are listening, Ian was telling me earlier he brought a bunch of shirts and gear with him that he's gonna sell some merch out here.
Yeah, and there's gonna be stickers all over the place on Sunset Boulevard and Hollywood with Make Happiness. So if you're around LA, check it out. I'm sure you'll find them all over the street lights and whatnot.
Yeah, no, the crazy thing, this is the perfect, I know that you're not like exactly kind of like a Hollywood guy, like I know like what you're saying earlier, you're not sure if you would like to live here.
Yeah.
But to me, this would be the perfect place for you, because the way that you're building your brand, and I think like it's so authentic, it's so just like
it fits
pure.
Yeah.
Like
it fits the atmosphere and fits everything.
Yeah. Like oh, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was gonna say, like we were talking earlier, my roommate Max, his little brother just went viral on Twitter, like last week. So in the past 5 days, he has this blog, this little blog he started about a year ago, where he would just go around and pet dogs, and his mom would take a picture of him with the dog, and he'd write a little description about it, and write a little like, "Oh, this is Lassie. She grew up on a farm and did this and that," and like she's described the breed. And it's just him like hugging the dog, and it's so authentic, so pure and happy. And he he's just doing this for himself, like, and just to share like pictures with his friends.
Right.
And,
it's no big deal.
Yeah, nothing really big, right? And then like last week, about a week ago, he's been on Twitter for maybe a month. That his mom set him up on there, and he's 9 years old. Everyone listening, this kid is 9 years old.
Yeah.
Cutest kid in the world. And so he had 400 followers, and then some random guy found it and started like just sharing it because he loved it so much. He sent it to like, shared it to the Ellen page and like New York Times or like all these like magazines, like People magazine. And then this guy who was sharing it everywhere, people started to notice. And then within 24 hours, he had 20,000 followers, and now he's up to like 50,000, and it's still growing. And I swear to God, this kid's gonna be on Ellen. Like this kid,
he's gonna be the new like the White Vans kid or something.
Yeah.
Dude, the other part was crazy when you told me about that. Like I literally saw him seeing hugging his 300th dog, or like the one that went viral with like no idea that it was your roommate's brother. It was insane.
That's so cool. Like that's a great thing about the internet, and like I'm so happy that we live in this world like that's so connected, because you're able to share everything, and you're.
But do you think that sometimes it takes away from, as far as we're so connected online, but are we really connected as real human interaction goes? You know what I mean? Like a real face-to-face, like deep conversation meaning. That's what I've noticed walking around too. So many people have their phones out. They're all like technology driven out here, which is.
Oh yeah. I mean, you kind of have to be like, it's very. And I do, yes, I will say that, yes, I think it does separate you in the human level sometimes, because you're focusing on like, oh, what am I going to do tonight? Or like, who's going to like, you're sharing things and like reading things, and you're kind of focusing on that rather than like the world around you. So I try as best I can to keep my phone in my pocket as often as I can, but it's very easy. Like it's the best of both worlds. You gotta you gotta moderate yourself.
Exactly. It's about balance.
Addiction is so easy to slip into, and in anything,
Well, that's the hard part too, because with, if I'm trying to do all this marketing, I'm trying to grow Make Happiness on the online scale. I have to devote so much of my time to being on my phone, but at the same time, I don't want to be on my phone.
No.
So it's I don't know how to cope with that, or how to find the right medium between the two.
What you could do, this is what I would think would be good, but I don't know if you're at that level yet, is hire somebody. Hire somebody who's very good at it. Pay them, I don't know, whatever you can, or find someone who just really cares about your brand and who's willing
give them free stuff.
to start to do it for free. You could give them some merch, hook them up however you can, and then that will help grow your brand so much. But I mean, I'm just talking out of my ass. I don't know this. I've never done this before.
Dude, that's
I think
totally
that's
fair.
a good idea.
I'm just thinking it's a good
topic.
topic to talk about.
Yeah, like you're the type of guy that like you need to focus on the actual content, and then you need someone else to do that stuff.
Right.
That's just how you're wired, and I can just tell like you are built to be the guy that like you're the messenger.
Yeah.
Like, they can spread it how they want.
They do the distribution, they do the marketing, whatever. But I agree with that to an extent. I have thought about that, but I don't think I'm at that level yet. So it's kind of weird trying to juggle all these things at once. But at the same time, it's also hard because I have so many other things that's going on in my life. So it's really hard to devote all my time towards Make Happiness, even when I have other priorities that I need to take care of, like going or like working 40 hours a week to pay for a living, or hanging out with my girlfriend, or doing biking because I do mountain bike races all summer, So it's like there's so many different ways that my time is being taken up, but I want to devote more time to Make Happiness, and I feel like it's being neglected. But also at the same time, since school just got out for summer, I'm going to have more free time, so hopefully I can devote it. But at the same time, it's all priorities, and I think in hindsight, I may just be skeptical, or I may not be focusing on Make Happiness because I might be afraid, or I might be worried, or I might be, making up excuses in my head, so I focus more time on other things, when easily I could just be doing Make Happiness just as much. I think I just figured something out right now. That's pretty cool.
It's an epiphany.
Yeah, honestly. Dude, that's cool.
Yeah. Congrats. Cheers to that.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard. Time management is like one of the biggest challenges,
huge.
Especially these days.
Do you do anything else in your spare time besides work? Like, do you have any other like...
Dude. Okay, yeah. Listen. I'm currently working on like 2 different music videos and a web series, and I'm like helping like work on this other like short film. So it's like whenever I get home, as much as I would love to just like lay back, watch my favorite TV shows. Yeah. Because like I love film and television, and that's kind of what I like falling into, or even reading a book, going to the gym. Like you got to stay stay healthy, take care of your body, and like, do your laundry, like clean up, like
buy groceries or whatever.
Exactly. Like your day-to-day life, like your the essentials. But on top of that, if you don't foster those those extracurricular activities outside of your job and outside of your day-to-day life, like you won't grow. You'll just be stuck in the same spot.
Right. That's cool though. I can't like you're on top of so many things, which is really rad. That you're managing your time so well, and I respect that. That's really cool because it's very hard to master that. I think.
I'm nowhere near mastering it at all. I always make stupid decisions, and I procrastinate so much. Dude, and I'm just like whatever. And the one thing that I always end up cutting out is my sleep, and that's like self care. Like then I'm going through like I'm at work and I'm like on 3 hours of sleep, and I'm just like wow, like. Feel like crap right now. Like,
right,
what am I gonna
you're
do?
drinking coffee like it's water, which isn't good for you either.
So but like when you step back and you're like, okay, I just had a rough week. Like that was intense, but like look what I accomplished.
Yeah,
and then you can maybe take a week where I like stagger
go easier.
Yeah, take a week where you chill out and relax more.
Mm-hmm. So then it's more about balance and goes back like
yeah, like
pretty cool.
Here's an example. When I got back from Coachella and I was like my whole body was sore. I was all sunburnt and just like I felt like so drained and just dead, but I like felt so happy because of like everything I experienced there. And when I came back I was just like doing the necessities, like take a shower, like eat some food, like just get some sleep, and then that day I felt like my body was like all like out of whack, and I went to this Thai massage and I got this massage, and when I came back from that I was just floating on clouds because they released all the tension, like they got all the knots in my back, and like it's just a stress relief, and you got to treat yourself.
Right.
Don't forget to treat yourself, everybody. Treat yourself.
That's true, because honestly like it feels good. Like it's not a bad thing to do. That's why we're out in LA. Like I needed a vacation, like, because I was saying I've been so caught up with all these other things. I was like, why not? Like, it's so nice to just not have to worry about work, not worry about school, and make happiness and stuff I enjoy. Like, I'm stoked to be out in LA and film a podcast with you. Like, this isn't work at all.
This is not. Yeah, this is fun, and this is what this is like. God, I lost.
No, dude,
I lost my
good.
fucking energy. Sorry, I just swore too. I don't know if you can swear on this podcast.
Yeah, dude. No, it's the LA special. It's all good.
It's LA special, man. Uncut, unfiltered.
That's right.
Yeah, no. It's basically, like once you find your groove and you can get into that flow state, and you're doing things that make you passionate, like every day will inspire you. Like you don't even need to try to give your effort because it's coming naturally.
Right.
That's the place I like to be.
Mm-hmm. Which is also cool. So when we were walking around, we were out by, what was it? The one street that we were out that was further south than
Sunset Boulevard or Hollywood? It was Melrose.
Melrose. We were on Melrose, and there was this wall that was just a bunch of smiley faces. Just colorful smiley faces. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I was like, all right, Andy, you got to come over here and take a couple photos for Instagram. Like,
yes. That's what it's all about,
Like, it was just completely random, and I was like, this is perfect. I love this.
Yes. Man, yeah. That's what it's... Yeah. I'm so glad that you're having a good trip so far. I know it's your, like, first day here, but you're already having a good time, I hope.
Yeah, it's been insane.
Yeah. I can tell. Like, you seem very ecstatic, and I'm, like, it's so good. This is about, like, treating yourself, and, like, you deserve that break. You deserve... Because, when you're always focused on, like, these things that worry you and, like, all these stresses... which are very important because you really care about them, and like it's your passion, but you also have to like take time for yourself, like you said in the last podcast,
right?
You go out and like watch a sunset, or just like hang out and relax,
right? Do
nothing, do absolutely nothing, just sit in a room without a TV, without a phone, just chill, talk, I don't know,
right?
Hang out with your girlfriend, which I just met. She's wonderful.
Yeah, she's over in the background sitting on a couch.
She's sitting here patiently. She seems super nice.
Yeah, she is, and she's being very quiet, which is awesome.
Well, that just sounds sexist, Ian. That's right. No, but she seems like really great, and I didn't really get the chance to meet her yet, but I know we're gonna like hang out and talk after this. But yeah. Yeah,
this is awesome. I'm curious. So we've been probably going on for a little bit. What time are we at now? Can you see it?
We're at 45.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to touch on. I know we talked a lot about a bunch of cool stuff on here. One thing I want to talk a little bit about, so in these next summer months, stay tuned. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm working on a summer lineup that's going to be super rad. So I got a bunch of new designs that are coming in. I got like tank tops, long sleeves, and some other stuff that's going to be new designs, and a bunch of really rad things in the works. So stay tuned. Of course, there's new content always coming, podcasts, and the blog for this week is going to be, I guess, the blog for last week. So the blog will be first, the podcast will be next Monday. That's going to be cool because that's going to be talking about LA and the trip and whatnot. But life is good, man. How about, do you have any other thoughts for closing? Any last words you want to say or pieces of advice?
Try to stay present in the moment. I know day to day, like I get really stuck in these ruts where I get kind of like, you get depressed or you're thinking about certain things that are stressing you out, but you need to, it's really important to step back and look, focus on what really makes you happy.
But here's a good question. How do you know when you should step back? Because if you're caught up in you're caught up in everything you're doing, you're not going to be thinking about the present because you're caught up in all these other things.
Yeah.
So how are you going to be aware I should step back? When do you know? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's been happening to me recently. And then I think when my girlfriend was like, hey, do you want to go to LA or do you want to go somewhere? That was a moment when someone else like asked me that. I was like, hey, that's a good idea. Like I need time to do something else.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Like obviously people listening to this podcast, they're clearly already pursuing that because they're listening to this podcast about finding that happiness.
That's fair.
And so I think it's like, if you find something that, I don't know, you need to, I don't know what it is. It's a routine. Like it takes discipline because it's, certain things, it just takes discipline. And
well, yeah, it's like you have to constantly work on it and think about it. Just like with anything, the more you're going to be doing it, the easier it's going to be.
I think like, if you have, like for me personally, that what I do is I try to meditate, and I know that's very Californian. Yeah.
Not even, dude. I meditate. A lot of people meditate. That's not California.
If they listen to this, they probably, I'm guessing 50% of you do. But I think for me, the number one thing is like art. It's, I listen to a new album, or I listen to my favorite, like go back and listen to some of my favorite songs, or I'll listen, or I'll go out and see a new movie and try to find some, I'm like, talk to friends like, hey, have you seen any new good movies lately? You read any good books?
Sure.
Reading is really big to me too. I recently met Chuck Palahniuk. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that at all correctly. He's the guy who wrote the book Fight Club.
Yeah.
And I talked to him in person, and I asked him about working with David Fincher, one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. And it's just one of those moments where like I just felt so connected to who I want to be and what inspires me.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I would say I would recommend go out of your comfort zone too. Like if you're feeling like weird and glum or whatever.
Yeah, that's
like,
a good point.
If you have nothing to lose, go out there and do something that scares the hell out of you. Go out and like if you've never done something before, go do that. Like go.
Well, yeah, because when people get in the routine and they're getting comfortable and they're in such a set way, it's like, well, then do something different. If you feel like you're stuck and you feel like you're just in this schedule of constantly doing the same thing over and over, and you don't feel like you're moving or making any ground on your life, well, then do something different.
Absolutely.
Like you're saying, try something new.
Yeah.
Which is awesome because last time I flew, I was talking to Annie about this too before we left. Last time I flew in a plane was probably like when I was 7 years old or 6 years old when I went to Las Vegas. Like I haven't flown or traveled in so long.
Since you were 7?
Yeah, I was really young. I was probably like 7 or 8. Yeah.
So why haven't you gone on any trips since then? You just didn't have the money, or?
No, I've gone on trips, but they've been really small, or they've been like close. They've never been like going across the country kind of thing. They've been like in Minneapolis or around the surrounding states of Minnesota. But I've done some cool stuff with biking, like the bike packing stuff I've told you about, where like we biked up to which is cool. But
I would love to help you guys. I know you were talking about doing this crazy trip that is like in the middle of the winter. It's like supposed to be the hardest bike ride of all time.
Yeah, the Arrowhead 135.
I want to film you guys. I would love to like do a little like documentary kind of thing with you guys.
You are going to do that.
We are going to do that. We are. Yes. For those of you who can't see, we just fist bumped.
That's right. 'Cause that just is the universe. It's going to happen. So the Arrowhead, I'll give a brief thing. Arrowhead 135 is considered top 50 hardest races in the world. It's ultra endurance race. It's in the northern tip of Minnesota. It's 135 miles. You can bike it, you can ski it, or you can run it. And there's 2 checkpoints, and you have to be completely self-sufficient, no outside help whatsoever. You have to bring a tent, you have to bring food, you have to bring everything, and it's in the harshest time of winter, and it's also in the northern tip of Minnesota, which is also the coldest part of Minnesota. So it can be anywhere from negative 10 degrees to negative 45 degrees, and you have to have all this gear, and you have to have so many calories on you at all times for safety reasons, and you have to have all these like things have to be met, which is insane. But me and my brother plan on doing this in I think it was 2020, so we gave ourselves like 2 years to prepare for it because you have to train, you have to be conditioned for these things. There's actually a special face mask that we have to buy, so when we breathe in the cold air at night and even during the day, our lungs don't shrivel up and don't
Oh my God.
we can still breathe at a normal pace and we don't get completely worn out.
That sounds terrifying. It sounds absolutely horrible, but really awesome, dude. That sounds so cool.
Everyone who enters the race, there's less than 50% of the people actually finish the race. So just to finish is an accomplishment.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's the kind of thing too. Like you're saying you're preparing for 2 years.
Yeah.
Like the average person doesn't even think ahead 2 days.
Yeah.
You know, and that's part of the thing is getting yourself caught up in those loops in your head where you're all you're focusing on is some stupid thing that's so trivial, and you need to think wow, does this really matter in the grand scheme of my life? When I'm 50 years old, am I going to even remember this day?
Yeah.
No. You should set these bigger goals, because that's what really, moving to LA and doing these bigger projects that maybe take a few months to work on.
Sure.
But when you finish it, you're like, wow, I didn't even know I had that in me. I didn't know I could do that.
Yeah.
And you do, and everyone does inside of them. They just
you have to tap into that, which is, it can be really hard to find sometimes. And I don't know, some people may be easier. It might be easier for them to find, or they hitch onto it. But I do think everyone has that same amount of potential, that same amount of drive, that same desire, or whatever it may be. But it's just, you have to figure out a way to engage that, or just open up that vein in your brain, that compels you to do the real thing that you want to do, or follow that passion.
Yeah, and I think we build up roadblocks for ourselves.
Oh yeah, totally.
I know I do it all the time. I'm just oh, maybe I tomorrow. The procrastination thing is I think my biggest challenge. I don't know how to get past it. I don't know I think the biggest thing is goal setting. Like you were doing with your trip. You have 2 years to get ready. Which is actually, that's kind of procrastinating. You should do it now, but
we have to buy all this gear, and we have to actually get everything ready, because we're doing it on fat bikes. So and I don't even have a fat bike yet, so I need to go out and buy a bike.
Okay,
and
there you go.
I need to buy the gear, and I need to
And you can maybe do a couple other races that simulate that are shorter, and then you're okay, now I know what it's like. Because I've done a triathlon, which was technically an Ironman, but it was not the full Ironman. It was a 5K. It started off with I think 400-meter swim, and then 13-mile bike ride, and then 5K run. And
which is still insane.
That's a lot, but it's not the real Ironman is 10 times that.
Yeah.
You're running a full marathon, and I ran a 5K, but a full marathon is
26 or
28.2 miles, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's ridiculous difference, but to me it was a lot.
Yeah.
But it's that building those stepping stones, and that's part of how I got to where I am, is just you take those little steps, I guess I could work on this short film, I guess I could make that music video, and then sooner or later you just find yourself
compiling all this stuff, and it's just happening, which is
it becomes easy to you. It becomes second nature, and then next thing you know, you
have this whole thing that you've created.
Just Make Happiness, this whole podcast.
Yeah.
It all started with an idea that you had, and then you're I'll make a logo, I'll do this, I'll write a couple blogs, and then sooner or later you're selling shirts, you're recording podcasts, you're doing everything, and you're out in LA right now, spreading the message.
Dude, it's insane. I can't even fathom what's happening with my life right now. This past year of my life has been literally the best year of my entire life. I know I say that with every day, but I mean, truthfully, it's crazy what's happened in 2018 so far, and it's only the 5th month. It's wild. I can't, crazy.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
That's right, man. Cool. Well, I think we should wrap this up a little bit. Do you have what are your plans for your future? I wanted to ask about that too. So,
oh god.
So let's not go long term. Let's just think 2018, or you just finished, or you're currently finishing your own featured edited film that you're doing.
Yeah.
What do you want to do next?
I really want to write more, and I keep telling myself this, and I'm telling all my friends I want to write more. I want to be a writer, and I never do it. That's the problem. And the biggest thing I think I need to do is just carve out some time, and it's that discipline that we're talking about. I'm planning on just trying to wake up an hour earlier, and then spend that time writing, or reading, anything that would get my mind in that place, because I have these great stories running around in my head, and I can't I can't just let those die.
Right.
I just know that I can contribute.
You got to put it somewhere.
Yeah, and everyone around me, they're inspiring me, and that helps too. So that's my goal, is to write a short film, and I also had like a feature in mind, and potentially like a pilot for a TV show.
There you go.
So I have like all these ideas, but it's just like the act of doing, like you're saying, like once you do it, the hardest part is
sometimes those ideas, they have to be just locked in your brain for a little while, because you have to wait to a certain point to unlock them. Like there's definitely stuff for Make Happiness that I have goals that I want to do and things that I want to do and events that I want to participate in. But as of right now, it's not, for lack of a better term, I don't like this word, but realistic.
Yeah.
I have to wait until I'm at the point where I can do those things, which is the same kind of situation for you. But you have that idea.
Yeah. And also the thing is, I'm busy doing other projects, so I'm like set back.
Right.
And like I'll list you off like the projects that I know for sure I'm going to be doing soon.
Sure.
One of them is I'm making a podcast with my friend Khalid. It's
oh, no way.
Yeah, it's called Welcome to Atlanta, and it's a show about the TV show Atlanta,
which
I highly recommend to everyone listening. This TV show is groundbreaking. It's incredible. It's about these rappers in Atlanta trying to make it, and each episode is kind of like its own brand new pilot to a new show, because they keep switching the genre and like the whole concept, and it's really mind-bendingly fun.
Where can I watch it?
FX. It's on FX. I believe it's on Hulu.
Sweet.
Yeah, I watch it with my friends. And we're gonna do, each episode covers an episode of the show, and we have on all these guests, and most of them are either women, or the guests are either women or they are people of color, because no one wants to hear a white dude talking about a show about black dudes. You know what I mean? It's like it's this other universe, and so we're really trying. He's leading the show. My friend Khalid's the host. And it's just, I'm really excited about it.
That sounds really cool. I'm really intrigued. I didn't hear about this until just now, and that sounds really cool.
It's going to be awesome. So stay tuned for that. Another thing I'm doing is a short film for Channel 101, which is this monthly film festival they do in Los Angeles here. It was created by Dan Harmon, the guy who created Rick and Morty.
Oh, yeah.
And Community. And it's basically, you come up with a 5-minute pilot episode for a TV show, and they screen it in a movie theater. And then everyone in the crowd votes on their favorite top episodes. And if you get voted in the top 5, top 10,
sure,
you come back the next month.
That's pretty cool.
Make episode 2.
That's a really cool concept.
Yeah, and my friend Max is starring in it. I'm gonna help like produce it / edit it. Dude, another thing I'm working on is making a music video for my same guy Khalid. We're working on his music video for his song.
His music's really good too, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it, man. I'm sure he'll appreciate it when he hears this. We're doing 2 music videos for him, and I'm really excited about it. And yeah, I think that's it. Like, I think there's a couple other things in the works too. Like, I'm editing this TV show it's a web series called Interracial. It's a group of these 3 black guys that are dating, on and off dating these white women, and it's about them like interacting with these women, and like about like each episode is themed around like a certain like Ebonics word. Like, so one episode is called code switching. So it's like how black people have to change the way they interact with white people, or they're constantly having to check themselves, and like, they can't just speak freely, because like they might be, in a, like if they're talking to a cop, they have to, clearly, like everyone does this, but specifically like people of color have a lot harder time, because they constantly have to be careful that, because of the history of this country.
Sure.
And so, yeah, that's just an example, and it's a comedy / drama. There's lots of interesting things going on with the characters. My friend's writing it. He's a great writer. And yeah, definitely
that's so
stay
cool.
tuned for that. We're going to release all the episodes probably like weekly once we're done with all of them.
Dude,
we're working on episode 4 right now.
You have so much stuff that's coming out and that's in the works. I don't get it. You're going 110%.
Man. Look at Donald Glover though. Like, I want to be like him,
Dude, you're on your way.
All of us are. All my friends, you, like everyone. That's what I'm surrounding myself with. Those people, those the 5 people around you,
right,
and more. And beyond that, I hang out with more than 5 people.
Right,
everybody.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Right on, man.
Stay busy.
Yeah, of course you have to be. If you wanna win, that's the only way. You gotta always be going. And success doesn't sleep. That's one thing I've learned.
Yeah, you gotta be a shark. Like, don't ever just keep going. Stay hungry.
Cool, man. Well, I think this about wraps up the Los Angeles podcast special. I appreciate this.
Live from Hollywood.
That's
Not
right.
Live, but
Well, live
kind of.
as of the recording.
Yeah. It was great, dude. I'm so glad.
Yeah, I appreciate this. Like getting to record this literally in your living room, and it's so cool.
Thank you. Appreciate being on it.
Well, stay tuned for next week, and I don't know, make some happiness.
Make some happiness.